Look at that. A gold ring. Maybe you've seen 1,000 of them. Maybe you're wearing one right now. But I need to tell you something about that gold. Something that's going to fundamentally change the way you see it. That gold did not come from this planet. It didn't come from a volcano. It didn't come from the ocean floor. It didn't come from anywhere on Earth. It came from out there. And here's where it gets strange. Because the best scientific evidence we have suggests that gold arrived on this planet as the aftermath of a collision so violent, so incomprehensibly catastrophic, that the shockwave rewrote the structure of reality for thousands of miles in every direction. A dead star fell, and gold was born. Stay with me. Now, before we get to the science, I want to tell you something that has always fascinated me. Across parts of West Africa, there are communities that have lived alongside gold for thousands of years. The Ashanti of Ghana built entire kingdoms on it. Gold wasn't just currency to them. It wasn't just jewelry. It was sacred. It was alive. And among certain communities, there are elders who claim they can sense gold, that they can feel its presence beneath the earth before a single hole is dug. There are stories passed down through generations of gold nuggets washing up from the soil after heavy rains, almost as if the earth was offering them up. And more strangely, stories of gold that disappears. Gold that was there one day and gone the next, with no explanation, as if it came from somewhere beyond this world. And sometimes it goes back. Now, most people hear that and think superstition, folklore. But here's the thing. What if those stories were pointing at something real? What if the instinct that gold is not quite of this earth is actually correct? Because it isn't. You probably learned in school that gold is just an element, atomic number 79. Dense, shiny, doesn't rust, great for jewelry. Fine, but here's what they didn't tell you. Gold is one of the rarest, strangest, most difficult elements in the entire universe to create. And I mean that literally. You cannot make gold in a normal star, not even a big one, not even our sun, burning at 15 million degrees at its core. That is not hot enough, not violent enough to forge gold. To make gold, you need conditions so extreme that they barely exist anywhere in the observable universe. So when you look at the gold in your hands, in your jewelry, in your phone, in every computer chip on Earth, you're looking at the physical residue of an event so powerful that our brains weren't built to imagine it. Which raises the obvious question. If gold can't form on Earth, then where did it come from? And how did it get here? Here's an idea that scientists have debated for decades. What if a giant star, a dying star, a collapsing star, fell into our solar system and exploded? Not a metaphor, not a symbol, a literal stellar explosion billions of years ago. So close to where our planet would eventually form that the debris rained down on Earth's surface. And in that debris, gold. Now, this isn't crazy. Stars die all the time. When a massive star runs out of fuel, it doesn't just flicker out. It collapses inward in a fraction of a second. And then it explodes outward in what we call a supernova, a blast so bright it can briefly outshine an entire galaxy. And in that explosion, the star fuses elements it never could during its lifetime, heavier and heavier atoms. Iron, nickel, and, here's the key, some gold. So the idea of a supernova seeding the early solar system with gold, that's not fiction. That's actually partially true. But here's the thing. When scientists started running the numbers, supernovae don't produce nearly enough gold to explain what we find on Earth. Not even close. Which means something even more extreme had to happen. Something even harder to picture. In 2017, something happened that changed everything. On August 17th, just another Tuesday, gravitational wave detectors on Earth began vibrating. Not from an earthquake, not from traffic, for a ripple in the fabric of space-time itself. Two dead stars, neutron stars, have been spiraling toward each other for hundreds of millions of years, getting closer, spinning faster. And on that Tuesday, they finally collided. The event lasted less than 2 seconds. In those 2 seconds, they released more energy than our sun will produce in its entire 10 billion year lifetime. And the telescopes watching the afterglow detected gold. Not a little gold, staggering amounts of gold. Estimates suggest that collision alone produced gold equivalent to the mass of several Earths, just forged in an instant. ejected into space at a fraction of the speed of light. This is where your gold ring came from. Not a giant star slowly burning, not a quiet supernova, a collision. Two dead stellar cores, dense as atomic nuclei, slamming into each other at speeds that defy imagination. And the chaos of that merger, in the tidal shredding and the extreme neutron flux, the universe briefly created conditions capable of forging the heaviest elements. Gold, platinum, silver, uranium, all born in that single moment of cosmic violence. Now here's the part that should make you stop and breathe for a second. That collision happened before our solar system existed. The gold atoms were flung into the interstellar medium, the vast, thin cloud of gas and dust that drifts between stars. And there they waited, for millions of years, floating. Then, about 4.6 billion years ago, something disturbed that cloud. Maybe another stellar explosion nearby. The cloud began to collapse under its own gravity. It started spinning. The center grew hotter and denser. The sun ignited, and the remaining material, the dust, the ice, the scattered atoms of every heavy element, they began to clump together, slowly at first, then violently, planetesimals colliding, merging, building. One of those clumps became Earth, and woven into Earth, from the very beginning, were those gold atoms, forged in a neutron star collision that happened before our planet was even a concept, before life, before the moon, before the oceans. But here's the twist. Most of that original gold sank when young Earth was a molten ball of rock. Heavy metals like gold and iron sank toward the core, down into the deep interior where no human will ever reach. The gold we actually mine and use? Scientists believe it arrived later, delivered by asteroid impacts during a period called the Late Heavy Bombardment. Roughly 4 billion years ago, a cosmic rain of debris that peppered the young solar system. Those asteroids were themselves fragments of older worlds built from the dust of neutron star collisions. Gold traveled across billions of years, billions of light years, and multiple generations of disaster to end up in the Earth's crust, where we dug it up and put on our fingers. So, did a giant star fall on Earth and create gold? In a sense, yes, just not in the way you might have pictured. It wasn't one star, it was two. Two dead stars, two neutron stars, each one the compressed remnant of a supernova, dancing around each other across the void for eons. And when they finally met, when they finally ended, the universe didn't just destroy them. It created gold, platinum, the material backbone of human civilization, the symbol of value, of love, of permanence across every culture in human history. All of it, every ounce of gold that has ever existed on this planet, is the ash of a cosmic catastrophe. And that changes what gold means. Maybe those elders in West Africa were onto something. Maybe the instinct that gold is sacred, that it doesn't fully belong here, that it carries something from beyond this world. Maybe that instinct was right all along, not as superstition, as intuition. It came from the sky. It doesn't quite belong here, and it never really stays. When you look at a gold ring on someone's finger, you're not looking at something mindful now. You're looking at a piece of a star, a piece of the most violent event the universe knows how to produce. A piece of physics so extreme that it can only exist for a fraction of a second before dissolving into hot plasma and radiation. That gold has been falling through space for longer than the Earth has existed. It survived the formation of a solar system. It survived the molten chaos of a young planet. It survived 4 billion years of geology, erosion, and tectonic upheaval. And now it sits on your finger. Physics doesn't make the universe colder or emptier. It makes it stranger, older, more violent, more beautiful. And it makes ordinary things extraordinary. The next time you see gold, really see it. Remember, you're holding a piece of a dying star, and it traveled 4 billion years to find you.